It's a very interesting subject in the dynamic. So, in the dynamic of an increasing level of awareness, increasing levels of consciousness, the understanding of a movement from third to fifth dimensional kind of thinking and more expansive thinking in that sort of way, a desire to move out of the chaos of the Loosh and move more into the dynamic of love, which begins to move one more and more into that fifth dimensional experience. You know, how much do you keep that in the dynamic of your conscious awareness on a day-to-day basis to realize that, they get into an argument about something that you've been over any number of times, but you're still arguing about the same dynamic, Well, what you're doing is you're just adding to that dynamic of Loosh. You're just adding to the dynamic of that conflict energy. But when you can begin to harmonize that dynamic of energy, if you can begin to create a harmonic within that dynamic of energy, you can really begin to experience the possibilities of what the fifth dimensional experience will be. So go ahead.
I'm kind of seeing that Loosh is the skin to the cyst.
Yeah.
It is the skin of the cyst. And, breaking that thick barrier. A what?
Up the zit.
Oh, well, maybe, but no, that's sort of like opening the third eye without permission. But I'm just saying that I see it as this skin we've created. Our culture has created it. Our paradigm, our humanity has created the skin, and somehow, in order to move beyond the skin of the cyst, there's a lot of stuff to look at and be prepared for, because we do know that our amygdala or our snake brain has these abilities to protect us, and we might say, oh, well, I've thinned the layer, and then all of a sudden the snake brain goes, no, you didn't. And it's very difficult because, not only the five biggies, the healthcare and food and shelter, et cetera. We have other things to worry about in terms of our actual personal psychic safety. And so I'm just bringing that up in order to have it as part of a discussion. I'm not just saying anybody's right or wrong, but I'm just thinking that it's very important, because a lot of people would love to move into peace and love and all that, but they will have the knee-jerk response in their soul saying, oh, God, I'm going to get hurt, or it's not going to work, or I'm going to be a victim.
They will, as long as they do not also claim their shadow.
You mean that the shadow has to come from the outside?
No, the shadow comes from the inside.
Is that like going down the red road?
Like going down the what?
Red road.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it's a computing now.
Well, just different language for the same sort of thing.
Wait, what is going down the red road?
We want to make the point here. The dynamic of Loosh. When love is added to the dynamic of Loosh, it transmutes the energy of Loosh to bring it more into the dynamic of love. It actually transmutes the energy. All right? And so that is why we are often encouraging you all to maintain the dynamic of your sacred I am, to maintain the dynamic of your identity, even in the midst of all of the things that occur in your daily life. And so it is important that you are able to maintain that solidity, maintain that dynamic of trust in yourself, because this is what you're building. You're building an understanding of how it works on the interior unseen dynamic, as well as in the actual reflection of this supposed tangibility of your reality. But each of you in your own way are finding out that this tangible reality isn't nearly as tangible as you thought it was. And we wouldn't be surprised if you're starting to see some fraying around the edges.
SOTU, what you said about transmuting, that love transmutes the Loosh. Thank you. I just want to say that was really helpful.
Well, but again, it's a dynamic of discovery. You know, until you discover what the dynamic of Loosh is, consider it. We've been talking to you about Loosh for about a month now, maybe 6 weeks. And in that dynamic, we keep giving you little pieces here, little pieces there. So now that you all really do kind of have an internal emotional understanding of what Loosh means. Now that you have that dynamic of Loosh, what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to experience it on your own. In other words, you're having your own personal experience of your own personal Loosh in that sort of way. Now, that we would believe has brought up a dynamic of, wow, you know, there's this Loosh, and if I look at it outside in the dynamic of a world, it inundates everything. It is everywhere within that dynamic. And supposedly there's these energies that are feeding off of this dynamic. Well, what if I changed the frequency? What if I changed the frequency of the Loosh that is directly connected to me? And I smother it, I drown it in love, or in that dynamic of energy. And then in the dynamics of that, you'd try it, wouldn't you? And in trying to change it, you know what you would find? You would find that you can. And that in your own way, you can transmute a tremendous amount of Loosh, just simply through your own dynamic of love consciousness. In that way, you make that energy inedible to the negative energies.
They don't like the way it tastes.
They don't like the way it tastes. It's not nasty enough.
My whole thing is that the Loosh that you're talking about, I call it the intelligence of the mind. In other words, the intelligence that we've grown to learn during this lifetime. And that we're talking about is, as far as love, the fifth dimensional love, the fifth dimensional energy, higher vibration, is the intelligence of the heart. Right. And once we can get more into the intelligence of the heart, we can realize and bring about that fifth dimensional energy here upon Earth. And that's what we're all here for today.
Correct. Correct. And, you know, and your analogy is as correct as ours.
Yes, awesome. Yeah.
And that's what you all have to realize. This is, you know, we're trying utilize words in such a way as to describe these dynamics of energy. And even though there are, you know, they're not really rules, they're suggestions.
So if one has a personal dynamic in their life where they're still experiencing and creating Loosh, if they can change that personal dynamic with the love, smothering in love, that then affects the greater.
Right, but that's an internal process.
Choices at all.
It's not an external process.
Right, it's internal.
It's an internal process.
Completely personal.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, juicy subject this evening.